A single mother, Anna, kneels beside her three tiny babies, twins Mia and Noah and baby Lily, who have fainted from hunger and exhaustion. Their tears have dried, and hope seems lost. Suddenly, a sleek black car pulls up. From it steps Alexander Kane, a billionaire known for his icy heart and towering skyscrapers. But today, he pauses. He kneels beside Anna, scoops the babies into his arms, and looks into her weary eyes. In that moment, fate shifts. He drives them to his grand mansion, where walls echo with silence and emptiness. What follows is an unlikely journey of love, trust, and healing. Watch how two broken lives find each other, how laughter grows anew, and how a mansion's grandeur shelters more than wealth, it shelters hearts. Before we start the story, leave a comment to let us know which city you're watching from. Like and subscribe to support our community. Your support means a lot to us. Now, enjoy the story as we continue. Anna pressed her hand against her chest, feeling her heart pound as sweat slipped down her temples. The park was her refuge, a rare moment of peace before the day's demands. She had left her small apartment early, hoping fresh air and sunlight would calm her restless babies. Instead, the scorching heat turned her hope into fear. She looked at Mia, her oldest, with big brown eyes and curly hair. Mia's face was pale, and she lay limp in Anna's arms. Noah, the middle twin, had tears dried on his cheeks as he blinked slowly. Little Lily, barely 3 months old, sniffled but did not fight the sleep taking her. "Please, wake up," Anna whispered, rocking them gently. She reached into her bag, pulling out the last scraps of crackers she had. She offered them to Mia, but the child's lips trembled without energy. Anna's tears fell, mixing with dust on the ground. A passerby glanced her way and hurried off. An older man stopped briefly but shook his head and moved on. No one stayed. No one helped. Anna's breath caught. Panic rose in her throat. Her life had turned upside down when her partner left her 3 months ago. She struggled to pay rent and buy milk. Now, losing her babies felt like losing everything. A soft hum of a luxury car engine broke the silence. Anna looked up, shielding her eyes. A black sedan rolled slowly along the park road. The window slid down with a smooth click. "You need help?" a calm voice asked. Anna stared at the man behind the wheel. Tall, broad-shouldered, dressed in a tailored suit. His hair was sleek, and his blue eyes showed concern. She hesitated, surprised someone noticed. "My babies," she stammered, pointing to the 3 bundled infants. "They're fainting. I have no money for food or medicine." He stepped out, adjusting his cufflinks. "I'm Alexander Kane. May I?" Anna nodded, her throat too tight for speech. He knelt down, gently lifting Mia into one arm and Noah into the other. Lily he held close, murmuring softly to soothe her. "Let's get them somewhere safe," he said. Anna watched, stunned, as he carried her babies to the car. She climbed in behind them, clutching the toddlers. Heat and fear drained from her body, replaced by a new, fragile hope as the car pulled away toward a future she never expected. The front doors swung open with a gentle hush, revealing a grand foyer that stretched upward in a sweep of glossy marble and gold-trimmed columns. Anna's heart pounded as she stepped onto the cool floor, cradling Lily against her chest and clutching Noah's tiny hand in her free one. Mia nestled close in Alexander's arm, her eyes fluttering as if noticing the world anew. Anna felt self-conscious in her worn dress, standing amid chandeliers and velvet drapes that whispered stories of wealth she could barely imagine. Alexander guided them forward, his voice soft. "This way, please. I'll get them some milk and a quiet room." His suit jacket caught the lamplight as he carried the twins down a long corridor. Anna followed with Lily, each step echoing in the cavernous space. She felt small, protected, and awestruck all at once. In the nursery, Alexander settled the twins onto a plush sofa. He reached into a silver-lined cooler and carefully unwrapped warm bottles of milk. Anna hovered nearby, unsure whether to speak or watch. As Noah latched on, his tiny cries of hunger turning to contented gulps, Anna's eyes brimmed with tears. "They're safe here," Alexander assured, offering her a gentle nod. "Take a seat." Anna sank onto an embroidered chair, watching as Lily reached for her bottle. The bright nursery walls, painted in soft pastels, felt like a promise of hope. Outside the nursery door, Anna paused, glancing down the long corridor. Portraits of stern faces in antique frames watched her as if judging his choice to bring strangers into his home. She swallowed hard, her throat tight. "Why are you doing this?" she whispered. Alexander paused a few steps ahead, turning. For a moment, his expression softened. "I don't know how to explain it. When I saw you, I saw someone in need, someone worth helping. I'm not used to saving people, Anna." He gave her his full name, and she remembered the newspaper headlines. Alexander Kane, the billionaire tycoon. Yet there was vulnerability in his voice she never expected. The baby's soft coos drifted through the door. Anna took a steadying breath. "I lost almost everything in the last few months. No home, no job, and I almost lost my babies today." Her voice trembled. Alexander listened without interrupting, giving her the space to share. When she finished, Lily settled against her shoulder, eyes sleepy. Alexander knelt beside them. "You'll stay here as long as you need. I'll make sure you have food, a place to sleep, and whatever else you need." He offered his hand, not as a contract, but as a lifeline. Night had fallen by the time Anna helped the babies into tiny cribs in a warmly lit bedroom down the hall. She stood by the window, gazing at the moonlit gardens below, feeling the mansion's silence settle around her. Moments later, Alexander appeared with a cup of warm tea. They stood in companionable quiet, sharing the glow of a single lamp. Anna sipped, the warmth spreading through her, and for the first time in months, she let herself believe that maybe fate had delivered her not into a gilded cage, but into a place where two lost souls could begin to heal together. Sunlight spilled through the tall windows of Anna's guest bedroom, painting soft patterns on the luxurious carpet. Lily stirred in her crib, yawning as if testing the day's new possibilities. Anna smiled, smoothing the baby's downy hair. She rose quietly, careful not to wake the twins, and slipped on her slippers. Stepping into the hallway, Anna's eyes widened at the quiet grandeur surrounding her. Tapestries lined the walls, and fresh blossoms in crystal vases perfumed the air. She paused by a full-length mirror, adjusting the cardigan Alexander had laid neatly over a chair. It was soft and warm, and in its folds she felt a strange sense of belonging. Down the corridor, she found a set of ornate double doors. Pushing them open, she discovered a sunlit breakfast room. A long mahogany table was set with delicate china, fresh fruit, scrambled eggs, and a pitcher of orange juice. The housekeeper, Mrs. Davenport, a kind-eyed woman in crisp uniform, smiled warmly. "Good morning, Ms. Anna. Would you like coffee or tea?" she asked in a gentle voice. "Coffee, please," Anna replied, seating herself at the head of the table. She felt nerves flutter as she realized how foreign this felt, eating a proper breakfast instead of hurried granola bars in the subway station. Mrs. Davenport served her with practiced grace. "Mr. Kane instructed us to care for you and the children. Anything you need, just ask." Anna nodded gratefully. As she ate the sweet berries and sipped the rich coffee, she felt energy returning. She glanced at the door, expecting Alexander. When he arrived, his silk tie loosened and his eyes softer from the night's rest, Anna smiled. "Good morning," she said. "Thank you for all of this." He pulled out a chair and sat down across from her. "I'm glad you slept well. I had the groundsman plant some wildflowers near the nursery window, thought the babies might enjoy the view." Anna's eyes misted. "They will. You didn't have to do any of this." Alexander stirred his oatmeal thoughtfully. "Maybe I needed to. Something in me changed when I saw you and the babies. I've spent years building things, skyscrapers, businesses, but I've never built a family. I don't even know where to start." Anna set down her spoon, studying his face. Families can be built with small moments, morning meals, soft lullabies, shared laughter. You don't need a blueprint. You need a heart willing to try. Her voice was gentle, but firm. He looked at her, struck by her simple wisdom. Outside, the twins began their morning coos, and Lily's soft cries called for attention. Rising together, they walked down the hall toward the nursery. Alexander reached for Anna's hand, his touch steady and reassuring. "Show me," he whispered. Inside, the twins giggled at Anna's silly faces, and Lily reached out with tiny fingers. Mrs. Davenport peeked in, nodding respectfully before leaving them to their moment. Anna wrapped Lily in her arms, turning to Alexander. "We start one moment at a time." He smiled, the first true smile she had seen, warm, hopeful, and open. And as the morning light bathed them, Anna realized that trust, like love, could bloom in unexpected places, especially within the walls of an opulent mansion. The afternoon sun filtered through the tall windows of the mansion's library, casting a warm glow over rows of leather-bound books. Anna lingered by a globe, tracing paths with her finger as Lily cooed softly in her carrier. Mia and Noah slept peacefully in their cribs back in the nursery, leaving her a few precious moments of quiet. "Exploring?" asked Alexander, stepping into the room with 2 cups of tea. He offered one to Anna, who accepted with a grateful smile. Anna sipped the tea, its gentle warmth soothing her. "This place, it's incredible," she said, gazing at the ornate shelves. "I've never been in a library like this." He chuckled, setting his tea on a side table. "It was my mother's favorite room. She believed every book held a piece of her heart." His expression softened as he ran a hand over a polished mahogany surface. Anna watched him, noticing the way his strong fingers lingered on the wood grain. "You miss her?" she asked quietly. He met her eyes, vulnerability surfacing. "Every day. She taught me that understanding the world begins with listening to other people's stories." He paused. "What's your story, Anna?" Anna drew in a breath, the weight of her past momentarily painful. She glanced at the globe. "I grew up in a small town. My mom worked 2 jobs, and I learned early that life doesn't wait for anyone. When my partner left, I promised myself I'd never give up, no matter how hard it got." Her voice trembled slightly, but she continued. "These babies, they're my reason to keep going." Alexander listened, silent, then reached out, covering her hand with his. Anna felt warmth spread through her chest at the simple gesture. A soft knock sounded at the door. Mrs. Davenport entered, followed by Mr. Chen, the children's nurse. Each carried bags filled with diapers, clothes, and toys. "Thought it might be helpful," Mr. Chen said politely, setting down the supplies. "We also arranged for a pediatrician to visit tomorrow." Anna's eyes filled with tears. "Thank you," she whispered. Alexander stood and offered his arm, guiding her toward the door. "Come on. Let me show you the garden." Outside, a sprawling lawn stretched before them, dotted with fountains and flower beds. Anna gasped as she saw a long path lined with pastel roses. 2 wooden rocking chairs sat beneath a pergola. "Have a seat," Alexander said. They settled into the chairs, leaning back to watch the gentle spray of the fountain. Anna inhaled the fragrance of roses. "It's peaceful," she murmured. He nodded. "I wanted you to see both worlds, the wealth and the beauty. But I also want you to know that this," he gestured around, "means nothing without someone to share it with." Anna turned to him, her heart swelling with emotion. For the first time since the park, she felt the walls between them crumble. "I'm scared," she admitted. "But for the first time in months, I feel like I can breathe." Alexander smiled gently, his blue eyes warm. Then let's take it one step at a time. Together. As they sat beneath the roses, Anna realized that two very different worlds could come together when hearts were open, and that the bridge between them was built with trust, shared stories, and quiet afternoons in a garden of hope. The days in Alexander's mansion passed in a gentle rhythm, but beneath the calm surface lay currents Anna hadn't foreseen. As she settled into a routine, morning feeds, afternoon walks in the garden, and evenings beside the fireplace, she felt gratitude blossom, yet anxiety lingered like a shadow. One afternoon, Anna carried Mia and Noah through the library, searching for a children's book. Lily slept in a stroller beside her. The twins giggled as they reached for colorful illustrations of animals. Anna read aloud, her voice warm, creating a story of a lion family who cared for each other no matter the challenge. A door creaked behind her. Anna turned to see Alexander, his face drawn. In his hand was a letter sealed with his company logo. He looked troubled. "It's from the board," he said softly. "They want an update on my summit tomorrow. They're calling me in for urgent meetings." Anna's heart sank. She closed the book gently and looked at him. "Are they asking about us?" He hesitated, rubbing the back of his neck. "They know I've taken some time off. They don't know why. If they find out I've been caring for 3 babies, they'll question my judgment." Anna swallowed. The thought of losing this refuge, of being sent back to uncertainty, tightened her chest. "What will you do?" Alexander paced, running a hand through his hair. "I can't face them with half of my mind here. But leaving you and the children alone, I don't know." He met her gaze, vulnerability in his blue eyes. "I've never had to choose between business and a family." Anna stepped closer, placing a hand on his arm. "You don't have to choose alone. We're in this together." He looked at her, torn between duty and emotion. "Together," he repeated, as if tasting the word. That evening, Anna paced in her guest room, Lily stirring as she placed her in the crib. The mansion felt silent, too silent. She wrapped herself in the cardigan Alexander had given her and sat by the window, watching shadows lengthen across the manicured hedges. Footsteps approached. Mrs. Davenport appeared with a tray of warm soup and bread. "She's worried about you, Miss Anna," she whispered kindly. "You should eat." Anna nodded, thanking her softly. As she ate, she realized that the mansion staff cared deeply, another sign that this place could become home. Downstairs, in his study, Alexander stared at the letter again. Finally, he tore it open and read, his jaw tightening with each line. The next morning, he invited Anna into the study. The twins waited outside, giggling over a toy car, while Lily's soft coos floated from the nursery. Alexander closed the door and closed the laptop in front of him. He exhaled, then took Anna's hand. "I'll be honest," he began. "I can't hide this part of my life. The board may not approve, but I won't abandon you." Trembling, Anna held his gaze. "I trust you." He nodded, relief and resolve in his eyes. "Then let's face them together. Tonight, I'll invite you to the summit. You don't have to speak, but I want you by my side." Anna's breath caught. Fear remained, but it was tempered by hope. As she left the study, she realized that love would demand courage, and together they would face the board's expectations, stepping into the light of a future neither had dared to imagine. Night wrapped the mansion in velvet silence, the kind that made thoughts louder than they ought to be. Anna stood by the nursery window, watching moonlight paint silver shadows on the garden path. The twins were fast asleep, their little chests rising and falling in perfect rhythm. Lily had finally drifted off too, wrapped in the softest blanket Alexander had given her. But Anna's mind was wide awake. She wandered into the dimly lit hallway, drawn by a soft murmur of piano notes echoing faintly through the house. Curious, barefoot, and wrapped in one of Mrs. Davenport's cozy robes. She followed the sound past grand portraits and polished wood until she reached a half-open door. Inside was a music room, elegant yet untouched, like a forgotten page of a once-loved book. Alexander sat at the piano, his fingers gliding over ivory keys, the melody raw and aching. It wasn't perfect. In fact, it trembled with every note. But it told a story. One Anna didn't expect from a man like him. She hesitated by the door. He noticed her presence but didn't stop playing. "I didn't know you played," she said softly. He shrugged. "I don't. Not well, at least. My mother did. I just remember." Anna stepped inside, drawn to the vulnerable quiet. She sat on the bench beside him, their shoulders almost touching. The song ended in a hesitant chord, and silence filled the space between them. "Was she the kind of mother who made you feel safe?" Anna asked. He looked at the keys. "She tried. But my father was the kind of man who filled every room with fear. She left him when I was 10. Took me to Paris. This was her escape." Anna's heart ached at the image of a young Alexander clinging to music in the midst of chaos. "And when she died?" she asked gently. He nodded. "Everything good went quiet. I learned to talk through deals, not emotions. I built towers so tall, I thought maybe I'd never have to look down again." Anna turned toward him, her voice barely above a whisper. "But you did. You looked down. And you saw us." He met her gaze, his eyes dark and honest. "And I haven't stopped seeing you since." Their breath mingled in the quiet. Something unspoken passed between them. Not love, not yet. But understanding. A deep pull of two broken pieces recognizing each other. Suddenly, Lily's soft cry echoed down the hall. Anna stood quickly. "She needs me." "I'll come," he said, rising beside her. Back in the nursery, Lily fussed in her crib, arms flailing. Anna scooped her up, whispering comfort. Alexander watched from the doorway, his presence grounding. Then, gently, he stepped forward and held out his arms. "May I try?" Anna blinked, surprised. Slowly, she passed Lily into his arms. The baby settled against his chest, her cries softening almost immediately. He rocked her gently, awkward but determined. Anna stared, her chest tight with something she couldn't name. "You're a natural," she said. He laughed, low and almost shy. "Hardly. But I want to learn." They stood close, so close, in the soft glow of the nightlight, their hearts beating to the same silent rhythm. In that moment, Anna realized something terrifying and beautiful. This man, guarded and cold to the world, was slowly becoming her safe place. And maybe, just maybe, she was becoming his too. Anna stood at the edge of the rose garden, the crisp evening breeze tugging gently at her cardigan. She hugged herself as she watched Mia and Noah chase each other across the lawn, their laughter ringing like wind chimes in the golden dusk. Lily dozed peacefully in her pram beside her, her tiny fists curled like flower buds. It felt surreal, this moment of peace, this borrowed life in Alexander's world of elegance and quiet luxury. But beneath it all, worry tugged at her heart like a thread coming loose. "You've been quiet all day," Alexander said, appearing beside her with 2 cups of chamomile tea. He handed one to her, then followed her gaze to the children. "They're happy," she murmured. "I think this might be the first time I've seen them laugh without exhaustion hiding behind their eyes." He nodded slowly. "That's a beautiful thing, isn't it?" "It is," she replied, voice softer now. "But it also scares me." Alexander turned to her, brows gently drawn together. "Why?" Anna sipped her tea before answering. "Because I'm afraid they'll get used to this. To comfort. To space. To safety. And then one day we'll have to leave." He didn't speak at first. The sound of a fountain trickling nearby filled the silence. Finally, he said, "Who says you have to leave?" Anna blinked. "Alexander, you've done more for us than anyone ever has. But I can't take advantage of that. I don't want to be a project you feel obligated to help." He exhaled slowly. "Anna, I never saw you that way. Not once." She turned to face him fully. "Then what do you see me as?" He hesitated. "Someone strong. Someone real. Someone who reminds me what being human actually means. You and the kids, you've breathed life into this place." The raw honesty in his voice caught her off guard. She looked down, fingers tightening around her cup. "There's something you should know," she said quietly. "About the twins' father." Alexander's jaw tensed slightly, but he said nothing, encouraging her to continue. "He left the moment I told him I was pregnant. Disappeared. I tried to chase him down for child support, but I never had the money for a lawyer. Then Lily came along, and she wasn't his. I'd been so desperate for connection, I made a mistake. One night. One choice. Her father never even wanted to see her." She forced a breath. "I'm not proud of any of it. I've made terrible decisions. I just needed you to know that before you, I don't know, get the wrong idea about who you're helping." Alexander was silent for a beat too long. Then he stepped closer, taking the tea from her shaking hands and setting it aside. "Anna," he said, his voice low and firm, "you are not defined by what you survived, or by the people who failed you. You're defined by how fiercely you love your kids, how hard you fight to keep going. That's the only truth that matters to me." Her eyes filled with tears. "But what about the world you live in? People will judge." "I don't care what they think," he said, his voice edged with certainty. "This," he gestured to the house, the garden, even himself, "none of it means anything if I can't share it with people who remind me why I ever wanted it." Anna stared at him, overwhelmed by a mix of relief and disbelief. "I'm not going anywhere," he said, quieter now, "unless you tell me to." And in that moment, surrounded by twilight and blooming roses and the echo of her children's laughter, Anna believed him. For the first time, she believed that maybe, just maybe, this unexpected home wasn't temporary. That the man standing beside her wasn't a savior, but something far more human, a man learning to love again. The atmosphere had grown heavier since Anna's confrontation with Sylvia. Days passed, but the tension lingered like a cloud in the corners of the mansion. Anna tried her best to carry on with grace, tending to the babies, helping Mrs. Davenport with light tasks, and spending quiet moments in the garden. Yet beneath her calm demeanor, unease stirred. She couldn't shake the sharp sting of Sylvia's words, nor the look on Alexander's face when he returned that evening. Torn, caught between two worlds. Alexander had been distant since. Not cold, but cautious. There were still moments, when he helped Noah build block towers, or when he carried Lily around the house humming softly, but something in him had shuttered again. A wall had returned. That morning, Anna stepped into the solarium with Lily nestled on her hip. The space was filled with golden light and the soft scent of orchids. Alexander stood by the tall windows, sipping his coffee in silence, staring out over the garden. "Morning," Anna said gently. He turned, a small smile on his lips. "Good morning. Did you sleep all right?" "I did," she said. "The twins, too. Lily's becoming an early riser, though." She gave the baby a playful bounce. "She likes to watch the sunrise." Alexander chuckled quietly. "She has good taste." Anna walked closer. The tension in the air felt brittle, like thin glass. "Can we talk?" He nodded, setting his cup aside and gesturing to the settee. She sat beside him, Lily curling peacefully in her arms. "I need to know where we stand," Anna said, her voice gentle but firm. Not because I'm demanding answers, but because I can't raise these kids surrounded by confusion." Alexander sighed, rubbing the bridge of his nose. "I never expected this," he admitted. "I've built my life around control, plans, structure. But you and the babies brought something real into my world. Something I didn't know I needed. And it scares me." She looked at him, reading the honesty in his eyes. Sylvia said a lot of things that day, but what hurt most was how easily she assumed I was just temporary. A project. Something for you to rescue. He turned to her, his expression wounded. "You're not temporary, Anna. I never saw you that way." "Then show me," she said softly. "Not with money. With presence. With intention." There was a beat of silence, heavy and meaningful. "I want you here," he said. "But I need to fix some things first. I need to draw lines. Sylvia, my past, my obligations. I should have defended you that day. I didn't, and I hate myself for it." Anna reached for his hand. "I don't want perfection, Alexander. I want honesty. If we're going to build something real, we need to face the storms together." Lily stirred in her sleep, nuzzling into her mother's neck. Alexander gently touched the baby's hand, his voice quiet. "You deserve more than half commitments. So do they." He stood, taking a deep breath. "I have to go into the city today. Handle a few things. But when I come back, I'll be ready to do this right." Anna rose with him. "We'll be here." As he leaned down to kiss Lily's forehead, then met Anna's eyes with unspoken promises, something subtle shifted between them. Not resolution, not yet, but the beginning of truth. Later that afternoon, as the mansion quieted once more, Anna stood at the nursery window watching the wind stir the garden trees. Somewhere beyond the gates, Alexander was facing his past. And inside these walls, Anna was holding on to hope, not for a perfect life, but for a shared one. And maybe, just maybe, that was enough. The moon hung low over the horizon, casting silver light across the manicured garden behind Alexander's estate. Anna stood barefoot on the soft grass, arms folded gently around herself, the cool breeze brushing her cheeks. Inside, the babies had finally settled into sleep, their soft breaths a rhythm of peace. But Anna's mind buzzed with questions, about the future, about this strange, magnificent world she'd stepped into. She heard the soft click of the back door and turned. Alexander walked toward her, his jacket draped over one shoulder, sleeves rolled to his elbows. In his other hand, he carried 2 steaming mugs. "Couldn't sleep?" he asked as he approached. Anna gave a small smile. "Too much on my mind. I didn't want to wake the kids tossing and turning." He handed her one of the mugs. "Chamomile. It helps sometimes." She accepted it with a nod of thanks, sipping carefully. The warmth settled into her chest. "This garden, it's beautiful at night." Alexander glanced around, his voice low. "I never come out here. Not since my mother passed. She loved gardening. Said flowers understood life better than people." Anna's brows lifted. "That's poetic." "She was," he said, a flicker of emotion in his eyes. "Taught me that a rosebush wasn't just decoration, it was something alive. Something fragile." They walked slowly along the stone path, the soft sound of crickets filling the silence. Anna glanced at him from the corner of her eye. "You don't talk about her much." Alexander paused by a white flowering shrub, his fingers brushing one of the petals. "She was the only warmth in my world for a long time. After she died, I poured everything into business. Money was easier to understand than grief." Anna took a deep breath. "And now?" He turned to face her fully. "Now there's you. And 3 little people who've turned my life upside down in a way I never imagined." A soft laugh escaped Anna's lips. "Welcome to parenting." His eyes didn't leave hers. "You're good at it, even when you're scared." She looked away, tears stinging behind her lashes. "Sometimes I feel like I'm just surviving, not parenting. Just keeping us from sinking." He stepped closer, not touching her, but close enough she could feel his presence. "But you haven't sunk. And you won't. You're stronger than you think, Anna." She met his gaze again, surprised by the quiet intensity in his voice. "And you? You're not the man I thought you were when you pulled up in that sleek black car." His lips curved slightly. "The man in the suit?" She nodded. "I thought you were cold, unreachable. But now, I see someone trying to heal, just like me." They stood beneath an arch of climbing jasmine, the scent delicate in the breeze. For a moment, it felt like time had slowed. The only sound was the hush of night, the soft clink of their mugs as they lowered them to the ground. Alexander reached for her hand, gently this time, like he was asking a question without words. Anna didn't pull away. "Instead," she whispered, "maybe healing is easier when you're not alone." And under the moon's tender light, their hands remained joined, not in romance yet, but in trust. A quiet beginning. A promise. The sound of rain tapping softly against the mansion windows mirrored the quiet ache in Anna's chest. She sat curled on a velvet chaise in the music room, Lily nestled against her chest, sound asleep. Mia and Noah played nearby with wooden toys Alexander had brought in earlier that morning. Bright blocks and tiny animal figurines that made them squeal with joy. It was peaceful, but 1,000 thoughts whirled in Anna's mind. Her heart was tender from the letter she'd received that morning, a final eviction notice from her old apartment. Even though she had no intention of returning, the document served as a reminder of how close she'd come to losing everything. And yet here she was, wrapped in warmth, surrounded by comfort she never dreamed of. Alexander entered quietly, dressed casually in a gray sweater and jeans, a far cry from his usual suit. He looked less like the billionaire tycoon and more like a man slowly shedding his armor. "Hey," he said gently, his gaze settling on Lily before moving to Anna. "I wanted to check on you. You've been quiet today." Anna offered a small smile. "Just thinking. I got a letter from my landlord. Eviction notice. It's final now. I guess there's no going back." Alexander nodded slowly and walked over, lowering himself beside her. "You don't have to go back. Not ever. This can be your home for as long as you need it." She looked at him, searching his eyes. "Why do you care so much? I mean, you barely knew me a week ago." He took a moment, running a hand through his dark hair. "Because I know what it's like to be abandoned. To feel like no one is coming. I watched my mother suffer in silence for years until she finally left. No one helped her. I swore if I ever had the power to change someone's story, I would." Anna's breath caught. She hadn't expected that answer. There was pain in his voice, old and buried deep. "You changed mine," she whispered. His hand brushed hers, tentative but warm. "And you're changing mine. I never thought I'd enjoy mornings filled with baby laughter. Or come home early just to hear Lily giggle. You brought something into this house that money never could." Anna felt tears press behind her eyes. For once, they weren't from fear or exhaustion. They were from the strange, fragile beauty of being seen. Mia toddled over, her tiny arms lifting a stuffed elephant. "Mama, look." Anna scooped her daughter up, kissing her soft cheek. "It's beautiful, sweetheart. Did Mr. Alexander give you that?" "He did." Mia beamed. Alexander smiled, watching the child cling to her mother. "They're incredible. Just like you." Anna met his gaze. "I don't know what this is yet, but I'm grateful for it. For you." "Then let's take it one day at a time," he said. No pressure. Just moments. Real ones. She nodded. The rain fell harder outside, but inside the mansion, something gentle bloomed. Not love yet, perhaps, but the beginning of it. A flicker of something rare and real, a home not made of walls and ceilings, but of kindness, safety, and hearts that dared to hope again. As the day faded into evening, the mansion glowed with a soft warmth, a warmth no chandelier could provide. It came from laughter echoing down the hallways, tiny footsteps padding across marble floors, and the quiet, brave beginnings of something new. Anna looked around at her children, safe, smiling, finally at peace, and then at the man who had once been a stranger but was slowly becoming something more. Yes, her past had nearly broken her. But the present? The present was full of possibility. And sometimes, healing didn't come all at once. Sometimes, it arrived softly, in the shape of a second chance, a helping hand, or a heart learning how to love again. If you enjoyed this story and want more emotional, uplifting tales like this, filled with love, redemption, and second chances, don't forget to subscribe to Daily Stories on YouTube. We bring you captivating chapters like this every single day. Click, watch, and get swept away in a new story today. Subscribe now.